Tisha on the ooh. Happy Thursday, everybody. Late upload, but I'm finally all caught up on Empire, and oh my gosh. So I'm gonna do episode 3 first, and then I'm gonna jump right into episode 4. I'm not gonna put it all on the same video. I'm gonna stop it and then I'm gonna start like a whole new, you'll see. But yeah, so episode 3, You Broke Love. It started off with Frida. She's outside of a store freestyling or whatever, and a guy comes to, I guess, at the same time that she's freestyling and whatnot. She also is, I guess, a dealer now. And where she was at didn't look nothing like Brownsville, because I live in the Ville and I know pretty much what every corner place looked like or whatever. It looked like she's in a whole nother state or something. So this guy comes up to her and whatever, and he's like, yo, you Frida Gatz or whatever? You should have, made your mixtape and all of that with Lucious Lyon. And she's like, yo, don't ever mention that man's name again or whatever. And he's like, yeah, well, you could have did your mixtape then or something like that. And she was like, nah, I left that recording mess alone. And, as far as Lucious Lyon go, next time I see him, so she points to her gun, what's on her hip. She's like, next time I won't miss. I'm like, because remember, the first time she tried to shoot Lucious, Jamal jumped in the way and got shot or whatever, protecting Lucious. And she was shooting Lucious because Lucious lied to her about killing her father. So now we get to Damon and Cookie. Damon is holding Cookie hostage because of the whole situation with the laptop and her going through his phone. And she's like, why are you doing this? And he shows her a surveillance recording of her taking a picture of the information that he had on his phone and saving it in her phone. So he breaks her phone and he's like, why should I trust you or whatever? I should blow your brains out. So now we get to Terry and Andre, and they're in the hospital with the baby. Naturally, here comes Kingsley. This is more than likely Andre hallucinating or whatever. And he pops in to congratulate Andre, but also tell Andre that Andre needs Kingsley to run Empire effectively enough for the baby. And Andre's like, I don't need your help. Like, I know what I'm doing. And he's like, come on. I know ways that you could keep Empire going and whatnot. And your dad, he killed me for the business. And Andre was like, you shot yourself. He was like, yeah, but he drove me to do that or whatever. And would you want him to do something like that to you? You're vulnerable to Lucious attacks, so let's secure the legacy for the children. Now we get to Treasure and Tiana, and they're at a photo shoot, like in hair and makeup or whatever, and Tiana is pretty much annoyed. Treasure, they sent Treasure to set first or whatever. So Maya shows Tiana that fans are in her comments from her live when she was sending well wishes to Andre and the baby, when she said that all life is precious. Fans feel like she's against abortion or whatever, like pretty much what she was saying they took out of context. So Maya is like, well, maybe you should do like a public statement just telling them that what you said is not what you meant. And she was like, well, I'm not going to take back what I said. I do believe all life is precious. And she's like, Maya, I know that you're Andre's assistant, but I need you to stay in your own lane. For starters, you're auditioning to be me in the Empire movie. And Maya's like, well, you started off as a dancer. I was a dancer. And she's like, well, you know what, Maya, good luck with that. And I'm like, oh, don't get mad at her. She's just trying to help you out. Okay. So now we get to Lala in the studio, and Becky is at the engineering table with Melody, who's I think the producer. And Lala is still, whispering or whatever. And Becky is like hyping her up, like, yeah, oh girl, yeah, you doing a whole lot better. And when she left, she was like, bro, why is she not better? So she's upset that Lala's not getting better. And Melody is like, listen, I am no miracle worker, but I do suggest that she gets a holistic vocal coach. So Becky is like, cool, well, can we get one in here soon? She's like, listen, he's pricey. And she's like, well, how pricey is pricey? And she's like, well, about 10 G's a month pricey. And Becky's like, where am I going to get 10 G's for somebody to help this girl with her vocals? So we get to Lucius. He's at the barbershop or whatever, and he was speaking to some guy. I don't know the guy's name. I don't remember his name. But he has the laptop in his possession, and he found a lot of incriminating evidence on Damon's laptop against him. I think drug trafficking, money laundering, all kinds of stuff. So Damon calls Lucius and tells him, you have 2 hours to give me back my laptop or whatever. You know, I got Cookie here, pretty much like, yeah, I got Cookie here. Cookie, you know, pretty much using Cookie as a lure to get Lucius to give him back the laptop. And Lucius is like, okay, you got Cookie there, you know, she your problem now. And he's like, yeah, but I want you to give me my laptop or whatever, and or I'ma kill Cookie, I'ma do, like, pretty much threatening Lucius and using Cookie as like bait or whatever. And he's like, and Lucius is like, listen, Cookie's your problem now. I'm not giving you nothing. I'm gonna try and figure out who I'm gonna give this laptop to. I don't know if I should give it to your clients. I don't know if I should give it to the feds or whoever shanks you first. So then he hangs up the phone. So he feels like he's not just gonna up and give the laptop back to Damon, because he feels like Damon will take the laptop and the feds will still be on Lucius. Damon will take Cookie and run off with her to another country, and he doesn't want that. And he's like, I don't even know if this whole thing with Cookie is a setup or not, because she might be down with him, seeing that she don't want to be with me no more. So the guy was like, well, how do you know that for sure? Cookie wouldn't do nothing like that to you. He's like, listen, she abandoned me when I needed her the most. Okay, so I don't really care what happens to her. She can take care of herself. But I'll contact the press and the Department of Justice about Damon so that he can get taken down, and that'll be that. Cookie is a grown woman. So now we get back to Damon and Cookie, and Damon is like, wow, so that's who you chose over me? And she's like, and then he's like, if everything gets out to his clients, he's a dead man. And Cookie is like, listen, this is your beef. This is you and Lucius beef. This has nothing to do with me. And he's like, it has everything to do with you. You spied on me for Lucius. And she's like, she didn't spy on Damon or whatever. She didn't say anything. And he's like, so why did you take the information out my phone? And she's like, I took it out of your phone, but I never sent it to Lucius. I never gave him anything. I never said anything. If it's one thing that Cookie is not, it's a snitch. She's not a snitch. So many times people have tried to get this woman to snitch, and she would not fold. I don't know if you could count the Frank Gathers thing as her snitching. I don't know. But I think that was different compared to all these other times these officers and stuff tried to get her to snitch. So Andre is with the doctor, and he's seeing the doctor asking the doctor about his hallucination, wondering why Kingsley is the main person who keeps popping up in his in his visual. So the doctor is like, listen, we can recalibrate your meds, but you have to deal with why you feel like Kingsley is the one. And he's like, I don't know. So he's like, I keep seeing Kingsley. The doctor's like, well, there's numbers of reasons why you're seeing him. It's survivor's guilt. Remember, he was your brother and he died. And, Andre's like, well, that was my half brother. He's like, but still, him dying literally saved your life. So it could be that, or it could be whatever emotion about the situation, about him in particular, that you're suppressing and you won't let it go. So right then and there, Andre is trying to think exactly what that is that he could be suppressing, if that's the case. So now we get to Becky and her sister Donna and her cousin Roland just popping up at Bossy, and they're asking all kinds of questions like, oh, this is nice, and what you do, and da da da. And Becky is like, okay, I'm busy, but do you guys want to take a tour? So she takes them on a tour of the offices. So we get back to Damon and Cookie, and he calls Dimitri, I guess, who's his hitman, and he's like, get me a location on Lucius and make sure he has my laptop or whatever. So he tells Cookie, you're useless to me unless you tell me the truth. And she's like, she admits that she still loves Lucius, but she didn't give the information to Lucius because she has feelings for Damon as well. So he asked Cookie why she's unsure of why she wants Lucius back, and she said that she feels like she's not protected by Lucius, but she's not protected by Lucius, but Lucius is pretty much all she knows. Her own father kicked her out at 16 because of Lucius, and her and Lucius pretty much raised each other. So Lucius is all she knows. So it's more of a codependency than it is love anymore at this point. And she's like, she just doesn't want to be in the middle of the beef. And he's like, she put herself in the middle or whatever by messing with him. And she's like, well, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And he's like, a mistake? So her calling him a mistake set him off, pissed him off, and all of that. He breaking glass all in her house and everything. So he calls Dimitri back and is like, okay, well, since you won't give me what I want, and since Lucius doesn't care about you, I'm gonna go after who he cares about. So he calls Dimitri back and is like, yeah, give me a location on the grandkids. I know there's 3 of them, Bella, Prince, and then there's a newborn. And she's like, no, please don't mess with my babies, don't mess with my grandbabies or whatever. And she's like, I will kill you if you touch my grandkids. So he's like, anyway, you hungry? I'm gonna make you something to eat. You got shrimp? I'm like, bro, Damon Cross is bipolar. This whole episode, dude, is high, low, high, low, high, low. Jesus. So now we get back to the photo shoot with Treasure and Tiana, and they're performing their song. And Tiana checks her social media, and she's like, everybody's blowing up her comments still about her pro-life comment. And she's like, people are taking everything I'm saying out of context and they don't even know the story. So Treasure's like, well, what is the story, if you don't mind me asking? And she was like, when Eddie was running Empire, she was pregnant. Eddie pretty much forced her to get an abortion, but she didn't go through with it. She got in the car and she cried or whatever. She didn't go through with it. So because she didn't go through with it, she now has Prince. But also in the midst of her having Prince was a twin. And Prince made it, but his sister didn't. So that's why she's like grateful to have her son, but every single day she's like, it's a void because she lost her daughter as well. So she's like, I'm not apologizing for my decision to feel how I feel about abortion. I lost a baby. I miscarried a baby. So I don't think it's right for people to end a life, and that should not be a decision. It should just be, pro-life or whatever. So she's like, she's not taking back anything she said. So now we get back to Andre and Terry, and Lucius calls Andre to congratulate him on the baby, and he's like, I'll be by to see the baby soon. So Lucius is like, what did you name the baby? And he's like, well, we haven't settled on a name yet. He was like, well, I was thinking about Lucius Lyon II, so I could call him Baby Boy Deuce. So Andre was like, well, we'll keep that in mind for the list of names or whatever. So he tells Andre, he updates Andre about having like the dirt on Damon, and he's like, I'll be home soon once I figure out everything as far as this situation goes. And then it flashed back to Lucius and Cookie after she gave birth to Jamal, and Lucius wasn't there. He was out hustling instead of being there for the birth of Jamal. So she's like, I can't raise 2 boys on my own. I need you to be here. And he's like, no matter what, I'll be here. You missed the baby being born. I named him Jamal. It is what it is. So now we get to Damon and Cookie, and Damon is sitting up here making food like this is a regular date, while this woman tied up in the chair singing in Italian and everything. Like, rigatoni, spaghetti, ravioli, fettuccine. Like, I'm like, bruh. So Dimitri calls him with an update, and Cookie uses this opportunity to go to the bathroom. So he's like, so go to the bathroom. She's like, I'm not pissing on my furniture. Let me go to the bathroom. He's like, all right, I'm going to go with you to the bathroom because I don't want you doing nothing funny. So I'm going to go with you. So she's like trying to reason with him or whatever. And she's like, listen, please, don't hurt my grandkids. You have a daughter. You know what it feels like to like almost be your child, to almost be near death. Don't do this to me and my family. So he sets her free, but he you know, she pretty much is like, I'm done and I'm gonna go protect my grandkids. And he's like, you better get back in the seat. And he pulls the gun and puts it to her back. And she's like, what are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me? You gonna shoot me in the back like a coward? And he's like, well, yeah, or whatever. And she's like, all right, well then shoot, bitch. And he shoots her right in the thigh, grazing her in the thigh. So she compared him to Lucius and pretty much was like, all they offer is pain and torture, and she feels so stupid as to how she got herself in this situation with both of them, because that's all they offer. Like, they're both selfish, they only care about themselves. And Damon is like, no, if you were with me, I would have treated you like a queen, but you didn't want that. And she's like, this is treating me like a queen? You sat up here and you shot me. So she's like, you really don't care about me. I'm just an idea. I'm a pawn in your game. I'm a thought. So she's like, if you really love me or care about me, you wouldn't have threatened my grandchildren and you wouldn't have shot me like you did. And he's like, well, you hungry? You should eat. So he gives her like a fork full of food, and she like puts it in her mouth, and then she spits it in his face. I was like, yeah, Cookie, yeah, yeah. That's the only time I'll condone somebody spitting something in somebody's face. Any other time, that's grounds for you to get a foot in your ass. So now we get back to Becky, and she's showing her sister and her cousin the office. She shows off Lala, and her sister pretty much guilts her about money, and she's like, this is why you haven't given mom and dad money in months and whatnot. And she's like, well, I'm trying, but this is a new business or whatever. And she's like, well, how are you gonna run a business and you don't know the ethics of running a business? And she's like, first of all, are you here to help me, or are you gonna guilt trip me or whatever? So she leaves because she's like, she feels like Becky is being a bitch. Her cousin Roland comes, and he's like, listen, I have a proposition for you. Maybe I could set up shop here or whatever, and then I sell my stuff, but then I cut you a fee under the table for your troubles. And she's like, huh, so you want me to launder your money? And he's like, well, yeah, technically. And she's like, I'll think about it. So we get back to Tiana and Treasure, and Treasure is trying to get her to understand that her situation compared to other people's situations is different. She said to Tiana, when you made the decision to not have your abortion, you were a grown woman who could have raised the kids with or without Hakeem, got the abortion with or without Hakeem. But what about the 13-year-old little girl out there who has no choice, and she's raped by her uncle or whatever? She doesn't have the money, and that's why abortion is put in place. Like, you have to relate to your fans in their situations before you just jump the gun and say, oh, I'm this or I'm that. Like, have a little bit of empathy. And Tiana's like, well, you know, you got a point or whatever. So we get back to Lucius and Thea, who's a reporter, and it goes back to Lucius. He brought Thea there to give the laptop, but then he kind of sort of thought against doing it, because he had a flashback to him and Cookie talking after she gave birth to Jamal, and he promised that he would always be there for Cookie and protect the family. So then he tells Thea, listen, I have to be somewhere, I'm so sorry for wasting your time, and he drives off. So we get back to Damon and Cookie. Dimitri calls. Cookie pleads for him to like kill her and spare the grandchildren, and he points the gun. As he pointing the gun, he gets another phone call. So he walks away. Cookie is praying and like, listen, please, I don't ask for much, but all I want is for you, for any troubles that me and Lucius have caused, take me and let my grandchildren live. So Damon hears her say this, and he's like, well, I think your prayers have been answered. You know, that was Lucius that called. He wants to make a deal. So he frees her and they take off. So now we get back to Terry and Andre, and they're having a prayer over the baby. And while they're praying, here comes Kingsley. Kingsley interrupting the prayer, talking about saving Empire and working, fixing Empire and all this craziness. So Andre is pretty much ignoring Kingsley and continuing his prayer how he wants it to. And because Andre left his doctor saying that he can control his thoughts, his hallucinations as it pertains to Kingsley. So he's not going to allow Kingsley to have control over his thoughts when he has the power, which in a sense it could work. But at the same time, he also has Kingsley's heart, so it might be a little harder. So now we get to Donna and Becky, and she's confronting Becky about considering money laundering with their cousin. And Becky is like, well, me taking his money versus me taking your money. Taking his money, I won't have to deal with attitude. I won't have to deal with judgment. I won't have to deal with nothing. And she's like, I judge you. Becky, you judge me. You judge me for my husband. You judge me for my way of life. You judge me for my friends that I have. And she's like, oh, so you're mad at me because of the life you chose, the husband you chose, the friends you chose who are all slutty alcoholics and all of that. So she's like, I feel like I should, her sister's like, well, you owe me an apology. And Becky is like, well, I'm not apologizing for my feelings. She's like, well, you always rejected me. Mom and Dad always gave you more attention than me. All I wanted was to feel important to everybody, and I don't. And she's like, okay, well, maybe I should apologize. And she's like, I admire you for actually pursuing your dreams. You know, I didn't get to do that. So in the end, they pretty much promise to be better to each other, and they're going out on a sister date. Yippee! You know. So we get back to Tiana and Treasure. They're continuing their photo shoot, wrapping it up. Maya then comes up to Treasure and pulls up her live about being pro-choice. And Tiana's like, you know, you do anything to sell, you know, just to sell yourself or whatever, just to get money. And Maya pretty much checked them both and was like, listen, my biological mother was raped by a prison guard. As a result of that, I am the product of the rape. So abortion is not just black and white. There's so many sides to it. So, you know, Treasure's like, that's what I was trying to tell her. And she's like, well, I'm not on your side either. You have to realize that people have their opinions too. And this whole abortion, anti-abortion, pro-choice, pro-life talk is not something that'll be figured out on social media. So the both of y'all need to stay in y'all lanes and stick to singing. And then she walked away. I was like, yes, Maya, yes, yes. 4 snaps in a Z formation, because she took everything that Tiana said to her earlier and threw it back at her. And I mean, who better to do that than Maya, because Maya's mother was Pound Cake, who was cellmates with Cookie. So it makes a lot of sense for her to step in and to check them, because they both don't. They know what they're talking about, but it's like they're making it like a social media thing now. Like now it's like of no importance. Now y'all making it a back and forth tit for tat thing when it's not that. So we get back to Damon and Cookie. She's limping in the streets of New York, and they're both hoping that Lucius shows up. Lucius shows up. He's standing there waiting. Him and Damon face off, and they meet in the middle of the street. So Damon is like, I hope you got what I came for. And then he points to his gun. So Lucius is like, yeah, this is your laptop, right? And he's like, yeah. So he takes the laptop, makes it look like he's giving it to Damon, and throws it in the street. So while he threw it in the street, he grabs Cookie and runs away. As he's running away, a bus is coming, runs over the laptop. So Damon is having a whole hissy fit because now his laptop is destroyed or whatever. So they run and get in a cab, and Cookie is like, oh, well, it took you long enough. You pretty much left me to die or whatever. And what made you? He was like, I showed up, didn't I? And she was like, he was like, I showed up because I do owe you and we are family. So they hugged. And he was like, well, because she was like, he said that he had like evidence on that laptop that could have put him, that could have helped him with his case with the feds, and I think it could have put him away as well or whatever. But Cookie was like, I took the SIM card out of my phone, so even though he destroyed my phone, here's your evidence. So now we get to the end where it's Cookie and Detective Conway, federal, whatever you call her, but her name is Megan Conway, and they show her like the whole donation thing. And Cookie is like, she's like, okay, so what? You know how many people donate to me or whatever? And she's like, but you also failed to mention that Damon paid you to get rid of Lucius. So how would you feel if we took this to the press, if we took this to your job and we outed you or whatever? And she's like, okay, what do you guys want? And they're like, okay, seeing as we now own you, you're gonna drop all the charges against Lucius. And if you don't drop all the charges against Lucius, then we're gonna expose you to everyone. And she's like, all right, it's done. So she's like, okay, and remember, we now own you, like, forever. So now it gets back to Cookie and Lucius visiting Terry and Andre at the hospital with the baby. Terry and Andre decided to name him Walker Lion, and Walker is Lucius, his old last name. So they pretty much gush over him and they're like, he's a beautiful baby, whatever. So Lucius and Cookie share like an awkward look amongst each other, and then it pretty much ended there. This was a pretty good episode. Like, that whole kidnapping with Cookie was a mess. Because like I said, Damon was bipolar. But y'all let me know how y'all felt about this episode. Please like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend about Tisha on the tube. Tisha on the tube. Tisha on the tube. Tisha on the tube. Ooh. Alright, so after this video, I'm going to jump right into the next episode. See you then.